What's up, internet? So this will be the last video I post on YouTube. I'm gonna start posting everything on BitChute and streaming on DLive. Um, Thanks to my subscribers on YouTube. I hope you'll follow me on BitChute. The site is just as good without the corporate overlording that Google is demonstrating. They've at the point where they're censoring reasonable people for irrational reasons. Just catering to people, anybody that cries or whines. It's just, I can no longer support it or advocate using YouTube. So this video really is just because people have subscribed. I feel, obligated to let them know I'm still plugging away at it. If you want to support me to continue to follow me, I will be on BitChute under the same name, any one of us. It's one word. I'll leave a link in the description, of course. So this is the game I've been working on in Unity. I've added a few things since my last video. We'll just do a quick run through. So I've got this fake guy here because I added fireballs, which were working at one point, but anyway, I made the fireball sprite and everything myself, all the coding. The enemies aren't hurting me right now. As you can see, I've got a level up system, the health increased. I don't have an inventory, so when you get loot, it just tells you like what type of item you would have gotten. So this would have been a helmet, some gold. Excuse me. And we can sprint. Just run past these guys. Go downstairs. So then this guy would be like the boss. There's like a little quest item, that's that flashy thing. That's something else I just made. This sprite in GIMP, which is basically a free Photoshop. Made basically a sprite sheet. It's 4 sprites, 16 pixels, which is the base size for this tile set. Made 4 different, so basically the same shape at different sizes, and then you sequence the sprites in order to make the animation in Unity. So I actually click, if we click on this, go to the animation, you see it's just 4 sprites, different sizes. I made my loot generator. Like I said, I don't have an inventory system at the moment, so basically it just shows you the type of item you got. It could be a weapon or a piece of armor. So basically all I did, I made an array or a list of rewards. So those would be the this is actually a roll that the script does. So it rolls a random number in this range, and then the string list is basically the different types of loot that you could get. So at the start, we find the dialog manager. That's how we pop up the text box to tell the player what they got. And then the, what am I doing with the player stats? Oh yeah, so the player stats, I just look at that to get the player's level, and that determines the amount of gold. It's the player's level plus a range of 1 to 5. So we go down here. So the number of items that we get is a random roll from 1 to 5, 0 being 1, and then 1 less than this number. The gold, again, is the player's level plus a random range of 1 to 5. So if this first random number is 0, then you get gold, and it just tells you how much gold you got, and it adds this amount of gold to the player's gold. And then if the random number is greater than 0, then you get, say it's 1, then you get the first item that would be in the list. Maybe it's a weapon. If it rolls a 3, then you would get the second item in the list, which would be like a helm or gloves or something like that, plus gold. You always get gold if nothing else. So yeah. So again, this is just like a placeholder kind of script. It's pretty easy to set up. Feel free to copy it and use it if you're prototyping a game. Once you set up an inventory, then you would just add to this to put whatever item is generated into the player's inventory. So that's where we're at on the game so far. Again, it's I have a few scenes set up. Like I have a world map of stuff that I would like to get into. I don't know, for just being a guy, I'm not Bethesda. I'm an electrician just working out of my home office, messing around. So I'm thinking for the first game it might focus more on this scene we looked at first, and be like a dungeon delver where you just go deeper and deeper, and the story will unfold within this, basically like one tower that you delve into, and then make it a series of games where your player character could carry over to make it a continuous story. So you fight your way out of this tower, and then the next game would open up the world map and see new features, new abilities, stuff like that. So that's where we're at with the game. Blender. Still working on this. This will be the mesh that I use for Percy. And you can see I have my Percy rig where I set up a bunch of actions. If you haven't caught the stream or seen my other YouTube videos, I set up armatures for the different characters and set them up some actions and stuff. And the way we did it was with Rigify. Rigify will generate a humanoid skeleton, which is how I got the majority of these bones. These red rings and these blue rings I made, getting more familiar with the way the Rigify extension actually works. So we haven't seen the true power of Rigify. I'll demonstrate that in this video. But yeah, here's Percy. If we open up an NLA editor, you can see Percy's action stash. We can see through the X-ray the armature moving in the background. So what Rigify will actually do is generate a rig like this one that I have on the Rogue. So for Vax, I actually deleted the rig that I had set up myself and re-edited a new meta rig. So if we go back to Percy real quick. So this rig, if I generate a rig, I don't know exactly how it would act right now because I've added all these extra bones. But Rigify sets up a control scheme, similar to what I was messing with on this. And again, I just was doing it myself to get a better understanding of how the controls and stuff work. So when you get to something like this, there's a lot of stuff here and it looks kind of weird, but everything works very well if you edit the armature correctly, and there's all kinds of little controls. The fingers rotate and stuff, can they curl like they're supposed to. And Rigify is very, very good. So the way it works, let's go to a clean layer real quick. So the way it works, Shift A, we're going to add an armature. And again, you have to install or download the Rigify extension in order to have these options, or your only option would be a single bone to start with. So we put in a meta rig, and then you would edit this to fit whatever mesh you want it to animate. So hit tab, go into edit mode, you can move the hands around and stuff to edit the armature to fit the mesh properly. And then what you're going to do in the armature tab, you're going to go down here. Got our armature, brand new meta rig. If we click this button, it says generate rig in the armature tab. Might take a minute. It gives us this. So then once you have your control rig, you can go into pose mode, and you see it works fairly well. You actually would delete this meta rig. See, they're separate armatures, so you can actually get rid of that. So then once you generate this rig, go to your bones tab, no, the armature tab. So you have all these layers. The ones that are highlighted are the ones that are being shown. And you can just drag. So then this one shows all these green bones. These are the bones that you're actually going to parent the mesh to. So if we bring everything back, so the green bones that basically look exactly just like the meta rig, but they're green because they're set up with controls that are utilized by all these different shapes. So you can see if I rotate that, it rotates the leg around. So you would take all these green bones, and this is actually what you would parent to the mesh, or parent the mesh to. This is what I'm trying to get with Percy, who doesn't exactly look like Canon, but he does have a gun. He's wearing glasses. So that's what I'm going to be using. There's also a goat, wizard, shaman character that I'm going to use for Tiberius. I know he wasn't a goat, he was a dragonborn, but the same principle. A non-human mage, wizard type. So got Percy and his armature. So what I'm going to be doing is going back and editing this armature. We'll just reset everything. So you can see I've got to edit it a little bit to get it to match up with the mesh, and then do the parenting, and I'll get rid of all of the special bones that I made, get rid of all the constraints and all that stuff. Because if I delete the armature, then I lose all these actions that I had set up. So yeah, that's where we're at with the Blender. I'm start setting up some fight scenes. Have redone, so with Vax I actually did delete the old armature and I lost all of my NLA actions, so built those back up. Go over here and hit play. Looks like a breathing idle animation. Redid the backflip. So right now it's just basically him curling up into a ball. I just have to take this, make sure I'm not recording at the moment. So basically take this and just rotate it and move it around to match whatever pose he's in. And then the walking. And again, this is not a polished animation, it's on a linear interpolation at the moment, so everything's moving at a constant speed, whereas as you bring your foot up to the top of the arc, it's going to be going slower than when it's going down. Same thing with the hands are going to move a little slower towards the bottom and out front and back, and they're going to be moving quickly between the extremes. So yep, hopefully within the next week I might have a fight scene set up with the dragon and stuff. Again, I'm going through now that I have a couple of meshes, re-editing the armatures that I had set up, hopefully being able to save the NLA actions. But again, I'm deleting a lot of the bones that I was using to control the armatures, so got a little bit of reworking to do, but it'll get there. And again, I hope you will follow me on BitChute and DLive. I'm trying to do at least one stream a week, maybe Friday or Saturday nights, possibly Sunday mornings. Trying to see where it fits into my schedule the best. Because again, I'm not Pixar, I'm not Bethesda, I'm not some big company. I'm just an electrician, which is how I afforded this house, my office computer and stuff to do this. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, it works out really well because my brother has been doing the modeling for a while, so he can give me stuff to animate. And it's pretty cool. And Blender's free, it's open source. You can write your own extensions. You can write extensions and share them with other people, anybody that uses Blender. Also, Blender 2.8 is still in the works. You can download it. I messed around with it a couple months ago, but it crashed in the middle of a session, so I haven't picked it back up since. It's probably a lot more stable now. But they have recently implemented some animation changes and stuff. They do have a YouTube channel where they post about once a week, I think, all of the updates. It might be a little more often than that. Yep. And I hope everybody has fun. Get away from the big corporations, the monopolies, Google. I've never used Twitter, or I can't say that I've never used Facebook, but I used it for this game called The Secret World. They were doing like a promotional event using Facebook where you just had to post stuff for whatever faction you were planning on joining. And once that game released, I have not been back on Facebook. I've never once opened Twitter or been on their website. Same with Instagram. Just no use for it. People like the people that seem to be running Google and all these other websites are just, I don't even know how to describe them. They sit in these cushy offices and complain about stuff and get paid for it. And it turns out most of what they're doing is bullshit, but they're still being paid to feed people bullshit, call it news. You know, one of the problems I have with the big media companies now and the people that are the mainstream news or the authoritative news sources put out stuff like some celebrity's opinion about what Donald Trump said, like it's news or some fact. Like, nobody gives a shit. It's just another person giving their opinion just like everybody else, but some people's opinions get banned even if they're reasonable, while other unreasonable, irrational opinions remain in the limelight. I can't deal with it no more. So again, I'm going to BitChute, and I'll be streaming on DLive. I'm not using Twitch anymore. Again, it's the same name, any one of us. I'll leave a link in the description, and I hope I see y'all there.